I died in the year I loved him most. Ethan locked me in the basement for an entire day and night to appease his first love. Later, an electrical short circuit sparked a fire, and I suffocated inside. In my final moments, I saw a teenage boy smashing the door lock with a stool before rushing to my side. Flames scorched his clothes, yet he kept holding me. Who was he? I couldn't recall. All I knew was that I died in his arms. My spirit lingered near the boy as the fire raged. I shoved his shoulders and screamed, "Run! Are you waiting to die here?" But of course, my ghostly shouts went unheard. Only when firefighters stormed in did they drag his unconscious body out, finally freeing me from that cursed basement. Sunlight bathed the cloudless sky outside. There stood Ethan pacing nervously by the mansion, stopping every passerby to ask, was the girl from basement rescued? Oh, he didn't know I was dead. See, this boy I'd loved for 10 years wouldn't even risk entering the flames to save me. The mysterious teenager still cradled my corpse. Ignoring everyone, he carried me to a black sedan, carefully buckling the lifeless body into the passenger seat before speeding away from the estate. A runaway boy fleeing with a dead girl, it felt like a scene from some indie film. We left the city behind, landscapes shifting from farmlands to villages, then endless beaches. He drove to an undeveloped coastal stretch where sea met wilderness. The car stopped, carrying me into the surf. He waded deeper until waves swallowed us both. "Ivy," he whispered as saltwater filled our lungs. "I'm Jake. Remember me?" Was this a confession? My eyes snapped open to find myself standing in a high school classroom surrounded by teenage classmates. A girl nudged me. "Ivy, is that a love letter in your hand?" A crumpled envelope bearing neat letters to Ethan distorted in my grip. I'd time traveled back to the Friday afternoon when I'd planned to confess to Ethan. In 5 minutes, he'd walk through that door. Last time, I'd publicly handed him the letter only to hear, "Sorry. I'm not looking to date anyone." No. I shook my head. "You've got it wrong." Ethan entered the classroom right on cue. Someone shouted, "Ethan, Ivy needs to talk to you." Amidst the crowd's anticipation, I tore the letter in half. "Just a joke," I stated calmly, tossing the shredded paper into the trash. Ethan studied my face for a long moment. Without a word, he returned to his seat. The onlookers around let out bored sighs. "Ugh. I thought there'd be some drama. Let's scatter," they said. I flipped through my textbook at my desk. School was almost out, and everyone was happily packing their bags. Yet I vaguely remembered something unfinished. Perhaps it hadn't seemed important then, buried in the river of memory until the homeroom teacher entered. Jacob Wilson. It came back to me. The transfer student who joined our private academy during senior year from neighboring Chu City. His faded uniform and frayed backpack stood in stark contrast to our school's affluent style. This difference made him quiet, often isolated, always working on problem sets in the back row. Yet he topped the class rankings, especially in science, consistently scoring perfect marks. Jacob bowed slightly. Jacob Wilson, like still waters run deep. Transferred from Chu City. The teacher nodded toward an empty seat behind me. As Jacob walked past clutching his worn books, his nervous movements betrayed his discomfort. 17, we still had time to start over. When the teacher left, Alex Thompson swaggered over. "Chu City? That coal town? My family does business there. What's your dad's name?" Jacob fidgeted, mumbling, "He's not in business." Alex snatched Jacob's textbook, sniffing dramatically. "Smells like coal." Disgusted, I threw my water at Alex. "Got a bloodhound's nose." "Alex?" He lunged at me until Ethan Johnson intervened. "Enough. Ivy. Let's go." Ethan's Johnson family status made Alex back down. But seeing Ethan only reminded me of choking smoke and flames. "I'll stay late to study," I told Ethan. His scoff followed me. The fire survivor in me no longer feared high school theatrics. He looked at me strangely. Ivy. What's gotten into you? The kind that makes me never want to see you again. I pointed at the classroom door. Can you stop bothering me while I'm studying? Ethan? Emma from the next class is still waiting for you by the door. Ethan. Emma. And I had been childhood friends. Our parents had business connections and frequently socialized. I'd always thought Ethan treated me specially when he called me Little Ivy. But in the end, he really did just see me as a younger sister. His heart had always belonged to Emma. Emma waved from the doorway. Ethan. What's taking so long with Ivy? Are we leaving or not? Ethan glanced at me again, tapping his index finger on my desk. If you're really struggling with physics, I can tutor you this weekend. He grabbed his backpack and walked toward Emma. Suddenly, the classroom contained only Jake and me. The wall clock ticked rhythmically as Jake's pen scratched across scratch paper behind me. In my memory, he'd always been the serious honor student. But, Jake, what do you see when you look at me? I turned around, leaning against my chair back to study him. His eyebrows, the curve of his lips, they gradually merged with the man who'd carried me through flames. Ivy. I'm Jake. Do you remember me? My intense stare must have unsettled him. Jake looked up, tilting his head curiously. He touched his chin cautiously. Is there something on my face? I shook my head hurriedly. No. Nothing. Heat crept up my neck. To break the awkwardness, I grabbed a physics workbook from my desk, flipping to a marked page. Could you explain this problem to me? Relief washed over Jake's features as he scanned the question. This one's actually not too bad. He scribbled 2 formulas on scratch paper. You start like this, then apply this principle. See? I stared blankly. Uh-huh. He chuckled, closing the workbook. Let's rebuild your foundation. Pulling out the textbook, he opened to chapter 1. We'll take it slow from the beginning. Jake's teaching method proved far superior to our rigid physics teacher's lectures and infinitely better than Ethan's impatient explanations. In my previous life, I'd constantly bothered Ethan with my messy problem sets. Ethan, help me with kinetic energy theorems? Ethan, why can't I ever solve the final math question? Ethan. No wonder he'd glare coldly. Are you an idiot? Ivy? How do you not get any of this? The security guard's angry shout startled us both. You too? What are you still doing here? It's almost 8 p.m. Want me to call your parents? Jake and I scrambled to pack up. The empty corridors echoed as we rushed out, school gates creaking shut behind us. I quickly packed my bag, apologizing repeatedly as I rushed out. By the time I reached the school gate, a car honked and pulled up beside me. The driver rolled down the window. Mr. Smith. Our family driver. He'd come to pick me up since I was late. Get in fast. Your mother's waiting for dinner, he said gruffly. I scrambled into the back seat, glancing back at Jacob Wilson standing under the streetlight. Jake. Want a ride? It's late. He shook his head, that familiar awkward smile appearing. West suburbs are too far. The bus still runs this hour. I watched him jog toward the bus stop. The west suburbs took over an hour by bus, an underdeveloped area with aging buildings and trash piles. Jake. I called out suddenly. He turned. Do you know my name? His cheeks flushed under the street lamp. I'm Ivy Smith. Ivy like the plant. Smith like the family. Remember that. Though I'd time traveled, my high school knowledge hadn't come with me. As an average student originally, this proved disastrous. That weekend found me buried in textbooks filled with meticulous notes. My phone buzzed unexpectedly. Emma Davis had sent a library selfie with 2 bubble teas. Ethan actually wants to study on weekends. So boring. Come rescue me? I snorted. Emma was a dance major. Since when did Ethan become this intense about library dates? Pass. I replied, returning to equations that might as well be hieroglyphics. God. I missed how clearly Jake explained concepts that afternoon. On impulse, I downloaded the class contact list and dialed. Ivy? His voice held surprise. These physics problems made me think of you. Got time? We talked for hours, strict teachers. School gossip. Urban legends he'd never heard. He matched my dramatic storytelling with perfect reactions. Such kindness confused me. When had our paths crossed before? Hanging up. I checked social media. Ethan had posted, productive physics review session. The photo showed textbook pages with dense notes. A flood of likes poured in, with numerous classmates commenting. Ethan, help me out. Physics is killing me. Holy crap. Since when did the academic ace get serious? Ethan, if you keep this up you'll score 200%. Stop studying already. Before Jake transferred to our class, Ethan had always been our undisputed top scorer, routinely outperforming second place by dozens of points. His dominance only wavered when Jake arrived. Their exam scores became neck and neck, trading first and second positions on every test. The class kept hoping to witness some intense rivalry between these two academic titans. But to everyone's disappointment, I recall Ethan and Jake exchanging fewer than 10 sentences total. They barely knew each other. Feeling guilty for disturbing Jake so much, I rummaged through the kitchen that night and baked a batch of cookies as a thank you gift. I used to experiment with baking all the time, constantly making Ethan test my creations. But in my previous life, I'd stumbled upon moldy cookies in his office desk drawer, only one piece missing from the entire batch I'd given him. That's when I realized he never actually liked my treats. My mom wandered into the kitchen, frowning at the mess. Wasting ingredients again? Ethan doesn't even like these. Can't you try something else? Who said these are for Ethan? I declared, chin lifted as I packaged the cookies. These are for the new student. Well, look at you. Full of surprises. She chuckled, clearly amused by my sudden change. During next day's break, I swiveled around and plopped the cookie box on Jake's desk. His eyes lit up like Christmas morning as he carefully lifted the lid, equal parts shocked, delighted, and flustered. Ivy, you're the first person who's ever baked for me. He stammered. That warm glow of appreciation felt incredible. Then Ethan materialized beside us, arms full of test papers from the teacher's office. He froze mid-stride, staring at the cookie box like it held state secrets. You made these? He blurted out unexpectedly, making both Jake and me jump. Scratching my neck, I remembered my embarrassing high school declaration. Ethan, you're the only one worthy of Ivy's homemade desserts. Ugh. What a lovesick fool I'd been. I studied my shoes intensely. When I didn't respond, Ethan turned to Jake. Heard you're strong in physics? He casually slid a test paper across the desk, 98% with only the final problem marked wrong. This was your transfer exam, right? Picked it up when getting our last quiz. I leaned in to see near perfect scores except for the last question. That's an Olympiad-level problem, Ethan pointed out. You should revisit it. In our past life, he'd taken off-campus physics tutoring, eventually winning competition awards and college admission bonuses. Suddenly, Ethan flicked my forehead. You actually following this? Ivy? Stop being a jerk. I swatted his hand, face burning. People can improve. You know. His smile softened in a way I'd never seen before. Then why'd you skip our library study session? Thought I was supposed to tutor you. My breath caught. This was the first time he'd ever acknowledged our arrangement. I shook my head. I don't know. I'll ask Jake. He sat right behind me. Ethan's expression froze. He glanced at me, then at Jake. but remained silent before coldly walking away with the test papers. After 2 steps, he turned back and said indifferently, "Ivy, you'll attend Emma's victory party next Saturday, won't you?" Emma's celebration party became the turning point that changed everything. As an arts student, Emma only needed to pass her auditions to secure college admission. In my previous life, she'd outperformed expectations, receiving offers from several prestigious dance academies. Her father had booked a banquet hall at a 5-star hotel and even allowed her 2 days off to celebrate with friends, provided they didn't stay out overnight. No one could blame her father's caution. Emma ran with all sorts of crowds. She reserved a VIP suite at KTV that night, where both schoolmates and her arts program friends gathered. The atmosphere buzzed with chaotic energy. Ethan and Emma found themselves surrounded by peers urging them to duet. Around midnight, my mother video called. Emma happened to see the caller ID. "Our moms went shopping today," she hissed. "They're probably still playing mahjong at your place. My phone's off, don't answer. She'll drag me back through you." But obedient daughter that I was, I answered anyway. Both our mothers appeared on screen. Mrs. Davis's shrill voice cut through the noise. "It's past midnight. Emma, tell me where you are this instant. I'll have the Smith family driver pick you up." "Mom, stop embarrassing me." Emma glared at her phone. "I aced my exams. What's the worst that could happen if I stay out one night?" Their stubborn clash continued until Mrs. Davis played her trump card, "Come home now or lose next month's allowance." The threat worked instantly. As our school's resident rich girl with $5,000 monthly allowance, Emma cursed while hanging up, her night of freedom abruptly ending. Ethan escorted us downstairs to wait for Mr. Smith's car, during which Emma didn't speak to him once. She'd been furious he hadn't intervened during the call. A few reassuring words from him might have swayed Mrs. Davis, who adored Ethan and even encouraged their relationship. But that night, he'd remained characteristically aloof. "This is all your fault." Emma stamped her designer sneakers at both of us. "You're both utterly useless. Completely ruined my night." The car crash happened on our way home. Police later determined our driver, Mr. Smith, had been drunk at the wheel. Emma and I spent 2 weeks hospitalized. Her injuries far more severe, torn knee ligaments ending her dance career for years. At the hospital, Mrs. Davis's grief turned vicious. "I'll make that driver pay with his life," she screamed. Mr. Smith faced legal consequences and financial penalties. But nothing could undo the damage. The Smith family never lacked money. This was a turning point. Had that car accident not occurred, Emma Davis would have stayed in the United States, and the 3 of us would have continued interacting like we did in high school. Years later, Ethan Johnson might have ended up with Emma. I suppose I would have been sad, maybe. After a good cry, I'd have sincerely wished them well before pursuing my own path. But that crash changed everything. Emma abandoned dance school to study art overseas. Ethan and I attended college in the same city, occasionally meeting up. He knew about my crush. Yet his most frequent remark was, "Ivy, do you think you deserve Emma?" Both of us wallowed in guilt. He'd fly across the country to mail Emma almond cookies. When she wanted concert tickets, he'd stay up setting alarms to snag tickets and accompany her. Birthday gifts, anniversary presents, he never missed one. Years later, when Emma returned, Ethan gathered old friends to throw her a welcome party. Past midnight, Emma grabbed the mic after singing and suddenly addressed me, "Ivy, now that you've graduated years ago, does your mom still track your curfew?" The room turned tomb silent. I knew she'd never forgiven me. Ethan sighed. "Emma, don't interrupt." "Ethan." Tipsy Emma slurred belligerently. "Isn't Miss Perfect Ivy happier locked alone in the basement?" She clung to Ethan's arm, voice saccharine. I stood speechless, every protest choked by lingering guilt. Ethan glanced at me. produced a key, and locked me in the basement with Emma. She patted the door, giggling. "We'll let you out after the party." Ivy. I don't know why their party lasted so long. I only remember the flames. Having lived through this tragedy once, I won't let it repeat. Stopping Emma's celebration seemed impossible, so I simply didn't attend. My absence meant Uncle Smith wouldn't drive us. Saturday night. Ethan called over party noise. "When are you coming?" "Not going." "Studying," I replied. "Suit yourself," Ethan coldly retorted before hanging up. My studious nerd reputation was now cemented. Near midnight, I found Uncle Smith video chatting with army buddies while drinking in the kitchen. He waved. "Ivy, why are you still awake?" I hesitated before saying, "Uncle, you should drink less at your age." In the living room, mahjong tiles clacked as Mrs. Davis celebrated another win. Checking her watch, she fretted, "Emma's out late, I should call." The line went dead. Her friends teased, "You can't quit while ahead." Mrs. Davis reluctantly resumed playing, while shuffling the cards. I laughed. "What are you guys implying? You think I'd back out?" Lying on my bedroom bed, I watched the wall clock tick away. Outside remained eerily quiet, like any ordinary night. Gradually, I drifted into sleep. The next morning, Mom's voice woke me. "Ivy, breakfast." Only 8 a.m. Groggily grabbing my phone from the nightstand, I opened my social media feed. A classmate had posted, "Prom queen and valedictorian, perfect match?" The photo showed Ethan and Emma asleep on a couch, Emma's head resting on Ethan's shoulder, probably from last night's marathon party. Someone had captured this moment and shared it online. Comments flooded in. "Always knew something was up. Our school's ultimate power couple." The photo jolted me awake. I sat bolt upright. The car accident never happened. Emma stayed at the celebration. Everything remained intact. Excitedly, I hit like and commented, "This warms my heart." Refreshing moments later, the post vanished. Ethan called unexpectedly. "Ivy," he blurted. "Last night got wild. I crashed early and missed the later stuff." "Oh. Why tell me?" His chuckle carried through the phone. "Thought you might have been there. Would've skipped it if I knew you weren't coming." I awkwardly rubbed my nose. Silence stretching between us. "Well, I should grab breakfast." "Right. See you Monday." Though deleted, the rumor mill churned furiously. Many attendees had witnessed the scene. At school Monday, whispered speculations buzzed everywhere. I stayed out of it. Midterm results were dropping soon, and Jake's first major exam here mattered most. Our homeroom teacher built suspense. "We've got a dark horse this time. Competition breeds excellence." He paused dramatically. "Jake, ranked first in the grade." The class erupted. Ethan's long-held top position finally challenged. Jake? The quiet transfer student? Another genius before college apps? Though aware of Jake's capabilities, excitement still surged through me. Whirling around, I playfully ruffled his hair. "Jake, you're incredible." His dark locks became an instant bird's nest under my assault. He didn't get angry at all, just smiled gently. My deskmate probably couldn't stand it anymore and elbowed me. "Ivy, keep it down." She shot me a meaningful look. "Can't you see Ethan's upset?" I followed her gaze. Ethan sat by the wall, watching Jake and me fool around. His lips pressed into a thin line, eyes icy cold, looking like a frozen statue. I suddenly shivered. How insensitive of me. Ethan had been the top student for nearly 3 years. Suddenly coming in second? That'd upset anyone. Here I was laughing while rubbing salt in his wounds. I coughed awkwardly and toned it down. After what felt like forever, Ethan finally looked away. I exhaled in relief. Thanks to Jake's tutoring, my grades had improved. Now every Friday after school, I voluntarily stayed 2 extra hours to study with him, taking advantage of the top students' help. Surprisingly, Ethan started staying too. When the bell rang, Emma appeared at our classroom door. "Ethan, let's go home." She waved at him like usual. Ethan didn't move or pack up. "You head back first. I'm staying for extra study." The remaining classmates turned to stare. "Seriously, Captain? You're already admitted with bonus points. Trying to outwork us all?" Ethan ignored them. After everyone left, he carried his books to my desk. I blinked. "Huh? Your spot's closer to Jake. Easier to discuss problems. Should I move to give you two geniuses space?" Before I could react, Ethan pulled out a test question. "Jake, any simpler solution here? My approach feels too convoluted." It was the exact problem I'd messed up on the exam. I shut my mouth and listened as the two academic rivals debated methods. Me? Just a novice soaking up their wisdom. By the end of study hall, my brain cells felt fried yet enlightened. Ethan and Jake's contrasting approaches sparked new insights every time they clashed. At nearly 8 p.m., Ethan tapped my head with his textbook. "Ivy. Time to go." "Oh, right. Since telling Mom about my Friday study sessions, she'd arranged for Mr. Smith to pick me up 2 hours later." Jake still insisted on taking the bus, never accepting rides. Now Ethan joined the routine. This rich heir's family hadn't sent a car either. He grinned shamelessly. "Let me hitch a ride with Mr. Smith. Remember when our families took turns driving all 3 of us home?" I rolled my eyes. Why not follow Jake's example? Take the bus. Do your part for carbon reduction. Or I'll call your mom. Tell her you abandoned me here at night. I couldn't believe the situation. We were both sitting in the back seat while Mr. Smith drove quietly up front. For the first time, I found myself at a loss for words with Ethan too. The cityscape flowed backward outside our windows. Suddenly Ethan asked, "Ivy, have you decided which college to apply for? We're only a few months away from the college entrance exams." His question snapped me back to reality. It was time to seriously consider my future. "I want to go south. Somewhere I can see the ocean," I said. In my previous life, I'd blindly followed Ethan to northern universities. Though that city never suited me. Ethan took a deep breath. His gaze steady. "I want to attend college in the same city as you." Confused, I countered. "But haven't you already decided on that top-tier university? The legacy admissions, the family connections." The Johnsons had generations of alumni at that northern institution. He shook his head, repeating with strange intensity, "We should be in the same city, Ivy." That night, curled under my blankets, I texted Jake, "Hey Jake, any thoughts on colleges?" Immediately I regretted the question with his grades. He could attend any school. His reply came swiftly, "Not yet." "You?" As I typed somewhere warm and humid with ocean views. My phone buzzed again. Funny. I was thinking the same. That copycat. The final semester brought mounting pressure. Our elite private schools succumbed to college prep frenzy, complete with a pep rally featuring top students. Both Ethan and Jake were scheduled to speak, though I only remembered enduring Ethan's polished speech last time before sneaking out. This time, I stayed alert for Jake's turn. But after Ethan's speech and several others, Jake never appeared, grabbing a passing student council member. I demanded, "Where's Jake?" "Who knows?" They snapped. "He's not answering calls and messed up our schedule." Dread coiled in my stomach. I bolted from the auditorium, dialing Jake's number repeatedly as I raced through campus buildings. The endless ringing mirrored my frantic footsteps. He's not a child, I told myself. He must be fine. But the empty echoes of unanswered calls suggested otherwise. The moment I reached the playground, memories suddenly flooded my mind. I remembered. In my previous life, after listening to Ethan's speech, I'd sneaked out of the auditorium for a walk. When I approached the gymnasium, I heard strange jeering noises. Driven by curiosity, I peered through the window and saw several classmates surrounding a boy, kicking and punching him while hurling obscenities. For some reason, my sense of justice flared up. I barged in and pulled the boy away from his tormentors. "I'll report you to the teachers if you keep bullying people," I'd shouted defiantly. Now I realized that boy had been Jake. I bolted toward the gymnasium and slammed open the doors. The scene mirrored my past life, Jake cornered in the center, surrounded by our class troublemakers including Alex. "Your family just digs coal. Think you're special because you get good grades?" Alex sneered, shoving Jake. "Who do you think you are? Trying to give speeches? We'll never let trash like you on stage." After becoming close with Jake, I'd learned how harsh his school life truly was. Our high school thrived on cliques, and Jake, the quiet transfer student from a poor family, excelling academically but belonging to no group, became the perfect target. At least in this life, he had me. I couldn't imagine how lonely he'd been before. Perhaps that isolation made him cherish every kindness. Maybe that's why he remembered me all these years. Just for pulling him away from bullies once. Alex blocked my path with a smirk. "What's this? Ivy? Playing hero? This isn't how things went last time." He gestured at gathering crowds as students spilled out from the concluded assembly. "Make this interesting, admit you like him, and I'll apologize. Otherwise..." The spectators erupted in scandalized oaths. Jake stood pale but calm, tugging my sleeve. "Don't take the bait. He won't do anything with everyone watching." But I've never backed down from challenges. "So what if I like Jake?" I declared, chin lifted. "Since when is having a crush illegal? Show me the school rule against it." The gym fell silent. Even Alex stammered. Ivy. You've got guts." Before he could continue, an authoritative voice cut through the crowd. "What's going on here? It's not even college entrance exam season yet. And you all want disciplinary records?" The crowd instinctively parted ways. The approaching figure looked familiar. After a moment's thought, I recognized the student council president. The president pointed at Alex and his gang, his tone severe. "You're about to graduate. Yet you're still bullying fellow students? Have you even read the school regulations? Don't you know we have zero tolerance for bullying?" Though in reality, covert exclusion of vulnerable students happened countless times. None had ever escalated to school authorities. This time, Alex was getting made an example. The president jabbed his finger at them. You, and you all come to the principal's office with me." After the roll call, he turned to someone behind him. "Ethan, I'll go update the teachers. Are you coming?" Only then did I notice Ethan had arrived with the president. He'd been standing in the shadows, unnoticed. Ethan shook his head, suddenly pointing at Jake. "Jake should go too. As the victim involved, he can provide first-hand account." The president nodded, herding everyone away. Alex wailed dramatically, "Save me. I don't want to face the principal." "Too bad." The president patted his head. The crowd dispersed when the main players left. I moved to follow Jake, planning to wait outside the office. But after a few steps, someone grabbed my wrist. Ethan stared at me, his complexion paper white, lips trembling as if suppressing violent emotions. "What?" I whispered. He dragged me without ceremony, shoving me into an alcove, towering over me at close range. His presence felt suffocating. "Ivy." His voice strained with effort to stay calm. "I understand you wanted to help Jake today, but you could have called teachers. Or me. You didn't need to. Aw. He thought my confession about liking Jake was mere altruistic strategy. I laughed. You're mistaken, Ethan. This isn't about helping classmates. I genuinely like Jake. My words seemed to short-circuit his brain. He stood frozen before crumpling into anguished panic. Suddenly he produced shredded stationery from his pocket, my love letter to him. Retrieved from trash. Ivy. You're lying. Right? His voice cracked. How could you like Jake? If you did, why write this? He held the tattered fragments like sacred relics. I stared curiously. Ethan admitted hoarsely, yes. I dug it from the trash. I wasn't sure about my feelings then. Worried senior year romance would distract us. But never imagined you'd. Seeing the letter actually eased my mind. My unrequited feelings could finally rest. I snatched the paper, tearing it further before scattering the pieces out the window. Ethan lunged for the sill, half his body hanging out as wind carried the confetti away. Ivy. You should have understood when I threw it away. I cut in. I don't like you anymore. Unless absolutely necessary. Don't approach me again. Weren't you the one preaching about college prep and studies? Next morning, all eyes followed me into classroom. Unfazed. I took my seat and opened the textbook. It was already morning study hall. But why hadn't Jacob Wilson shown up yet? I tapped my desk mate's hand and asked, "Where's Jake?" She gave me a teasing look. You really don't know? After your scene yesterday, Alex Thompson got flagged by the school as a bullying case study. They're making him do a public apology during study hall. Jake probably got caught up in it too. He's with the teachers now. As we whispered, the classroom speakers crackled to life. The dean's voice boomed, "This institution has witnessed an egregious case of harassment. The primary offenders will now offer sincere apologies." Alex and his crew stood like wilted eggplants. Their usual swagger gone. Mumbled apologies drifted through the room. The entire class ducked their heads to hide smirks. I couldn't help snorting laughter. The dean asked Jake if he accepted their apologies. His quiet response carried through the mic, truthfully. I've never paid them attention. People operating on entirely different levels, no matter how loud they act, aren't worth noticing. I nearly applauded under my desk. Then he continued, Ivy. I've always believed confession should come from me. I like you. My brain short-circuited. My deskmate spat out her water, gaping at me. Seriously? You two are relationship goaling in front of the whole school? The fallout? Jake and I each wrote apology letters. But we got to hold hands openly across campus. Though teen romance ruins grades gets preached constantly, my boyfriend happened to be ranked first in our grade. That kind of academic buff wasn't something to waste. Complex calculus problems started making sense with Jake's patient explanations. The entire second semester of senior year felt lighter. Time accelerated. Ethan, I suddenly realized, had faded from my awareness. He stopped staying for Friday study sessions. When crossing paths with Jake and me, he'd duck his head and hurry away. Seems he took my words to heart about leaving me alone. College acceptance season found us at an internet cafe. Me teaching Jake how to clear minion waves in our game. Our class chat exploded suddenly. Someone screamed, "Emergency. Scores are out." We abandoned our teammates mid-match, scrambling to input exam IDs. My results loaded first, 40 points above my practice tests. I shrieked, whipping around to see Jake's screen. His page displayed 0 points. My hands shook. How? Did you forget your name? Mess up the ID bubbles? He silently pointed to tiny text beneath the zeros, ranked within provincial top 50. Detailed report available soon. I hugged him, earning confused stares from nearby gamers. What's your kill count? One guy muttered, removing his headset. Face burning. I whispered, So, where are we applying? Mr. Wilson? He ruffled my hair. Your call. Later. That prestigious Southern University offered Jake full scholarship with open major selection. I was admitted to the nearby teachers' college. Everything seemed to be falling into place according to plan. Except for Ethan. A few days before the college application deadline, I suddenly received a call from Ethan's father. Ivy, could you do me a favor? Please convince Ethan to stick with his original plan and apply to University A. University A was the prestigious institution that had offered Ethan a 60-point admission advantage through their special recruitment program. To be honest, I didn't fully understand why Mr. Johnson was asking this of me. First, University A remained one of the nation's top schools, why would Ethan hesitate? Second, as an outsider, what influence could I possibly have? But out of respect for his father, I reluctantly agreed. When Ethan finally answered after many rings, his voice sounded weary. No, I haven't decided yet, he admitted when I asked about his college choice. An unexpected surge of frustration rose in me. Are you out of your mind, Ethan? You'd throw away this golden opportunity for some ordinary university? That's beneath you. The silence stretched between us. Finally, he whispered, Ivy, I'm afraid if we're too far apart, you'll forget me. I want to attend college in the same city as you. My response came cold and sharp. If you do that, I'll lose all respect for you. Do you want us to stop being friends completely? In the end, Ethan went to University A. Emma got into a dance conservatory up north. Jake and I headed to Southern universities. Everything worked out perfectly, no accidents. No tragedies. Our families celebrated together for days. Even coordinating airport drop-offs. At the departure lounge, our group split in two. Jake and I boarded a southbound flight while Ethan and Emma prepared for their northern journey. When Emma tried to touch Ethan's hand at the boarding gate, he subtly shifted away, his eyes lingering on me as he swallowed unspoken words. Goodbye. I waved. Maybe we won't meet again for a long time. The incident. Ethan, the autopsy report confirms chemical asphyxiation. The victim inhaled lethal amounts of carbon monoxide and toxic fumes. Experiencing excruciating. Enough with the technical jargon. Mister. He snapped at the police officer. His arms wrapped around his sobbing daughter Emma. This was clearly an accident. Just wrap it up. Emma trembled in her father's embrace. Daddy. I'm so scared. The former street thug turned business magnate paid no mind to the death of his daughter's childhood friend. As for me, I turned out to be the worst of them all. I sat in the police station without uttering a word. Even if Ethan hadn't shown up today, it would have been difficult for the police to charge Emma and me. There were no surveillance cameras in my suburban villa. Apart from Emma and me, no one else had witnessed us locking Ivy in the basement. Murderers don't get punished. Huh. Ethan? I stared at my hands, suddenly overwhelmed by nauseating dizziness. The hands that once held Ivy's trembling shoulders now seemed stained with blood. Who is he? I pointed at the photo. 2 bodies recovered by the rescue team lay on the beach, though bloated beyond recognition by seawater. The man still clutched Ivy protectively in his arms. An indescribable gloom tightened my chest. The officer flipped through his notes. Jacob Wilson, associate professor at the city's prestigious university. Such a waste, must have been a lover's suicide. Lover's my ass. I snapped, cutting off the young officer. Storming out of the station, I reached the parking lot when Emma grabbed my sleeve. Her eyes were still red-rimmed. Ethan, can I stay with you for a few days? I'm scared. I shook her off violently. Why didn't we think Emma might be scared when we locked Ivy in that basement? The words tasted like ash. Emma stood frozen as I drove away. My car wandered through neon-lit streets until stopping before Ivy's childhood home. The Smith family's fortunes had declined over the years. Ivy's father died during her college years. Her mother relapsed from stress and grief, eventually leaving for overseas treatment. Opportunistic relatives seized control of the board, even stripping Ivy of her shares. When she desperately tried selling this villa to fund her mother's treatment, I'd bought it on impulse. Mr. Smith, now gray-haired and softened by time, answered the door. Mr. Johnson? What brings you here? He took my coat, peering behind me. Where's Ivy? She's not coming back. This marked my first night in the villa since purchasing it. Upstairs, Ivy's bedroom remained frozen in her high school days, blue bedding, Winnie the Pooh curtains, shelves crammed with dictionaries and detective novels. Standing there, I realized how little I'd truly known her. I could recite Emma's favorite color, yet begrudged learning Ivy's preferences. How pathetic, taking her constant presence for granted. I sat at Ivy's desk. There was a small drawer underneath, which I casually opened. Inside were some notebooks and documents. A high school graduation photo was tucked among them, which I gently pulled out. Ivy and I stood together in the middle row. Back then, we both looked youthful and innocent. Ivy squinted in the sunlight, smiling softly. I traced my finger over her face in the photo, suddenly realizing there would never be another time as perfect as when we were 17. A breeze swept through the room, dislodging a tri-folded letter from the drawer. To Ethan was written on top. My breath caught. Unfolding the stationery, I recognized it as the love letter Ivy had given me during senior year. Ethan, you probably never knew. I've liked you for so long. I know my grades aren't great, but I'll work hard to get into the same college as you. Next time I ask for help with homework, could you be less annoyed? Do you like me back? The words blurred before me. How had I responded back then? I'd told her, Ivy, I don't want to date anyone now. We should focus on college prep. But the bitter truth was, I'd taken her constant presence for granted, never imagining she could disappear from my life. My own arrogance had driven her into darkness, destroyed the person who mattered most. Regret clamped around my throat like iron hands as I crumpled to the floor, clutching the decades-old confession. That night, I slept in Ivy's childhood bed at the Smith family villa. Though she hadn't returned for years, the room still carried traces of her lemon-scented shampoo. The estate manager, Mr. Smith, had offered to prepare the master bedroom when he noticed me staying long-term, but I'd declined. These days, I'd commute to corporate meetings by day, then return each evening to read through Ivy's old novels by lamplight. Sometimes I'd glimpse her pointing at mystery novel passages. Ethan, wanna know who done it? Not telling. Before the apparition dissolved. I never consulted doctors about these hallucinations. If mental illness let me see her smile again, I'd embrace it. He Ji-Kyung summoned me to his private club weeks later, where Emma sat sipping champagne. Her father slid a real estate contract across the table, cigar smoke curling around his words. Ethan, you're the sharpest young executive I know. Interested in co-developing the West District? The proposed site was essentially a slum, overcrowded, dilapidated, long targeted for urban renewal but stalled by relocation disputes. That the Hees had secured development rights suggested their usual tactics: threats, bribes, gang intimidation. I stared at Emma's manicured fingers toying with her necklace, remembering how she'd once batted those same eyelashes at me during debate club. The Davis family's wealth had always carried the metallic tang of blood money. I flipped through the agreement casually. Sure, I replied. He Ji-Jian laughed heartily. People talk about double blessings, but here we are thriving in business and now considering family matters. You and Emma grew up together, though both too shy. This old man has to play matchmaker. Emma threw herself into her father's arms, pounding his chest. Dad, what are you saying? What? You've been secretly crushing on Ethan since forever. He ruffled Emma's hair before turning to me. Ethan, pick a date. Let's get our fathers together to discuss the engagement. I remained silent throughout. Corporate alliances like this happen daily. To them, Emma and I being childhood friends made this better than cold business marriages. Driving home in a daze, I collapsed onto bed. Suddenly, Ivy materialized beside me, fingertips brushing my brow. Congratulations on the wedding, Ethan. How much should I contribute? I grabbed her wrist desperately. I won't marry her. But isn't Emma your first love? Her smile turned bitter. The girl you'd abandon me for? The fire hurt so much. Ethan. I jolted awake drenched in sweat. The empty room echoed. Karma. I thought bitterly. News of our joint West Side development project dominated headlines. Tabloids buzzed with engagement rumors, Johnson Airweds Davis heiress, and other nauseating titles clearly planted by He Jiyoung's PR team. Emma started visiting my office daily. My assistant fended her off with work overload excuses until she threatened, "I'll have Dad send more staff so we can date." True to her word, He Jiyoung transferred his top executives, even longtime confidants, to our project. They delivered terabytes of Davis Group files containing tax evasion, bribery, illegal demolishments, every dirty secret. Now considering us partners in crime, He Jiyoung greeted me as son-in-law. Useful. I smiled. Very useful. 2 months later, our joint press conference commenced downtown. He Jiyoung adjusted his tie triumphantly before taking stage. I consulted the almanac. Today's perfect for major announcements. Everything proceeded smoothly until a tabloid reporter interrupted. Is the marriage rumor true? When's the wedding? He Jiyoung's smile tightened. The engagement is real. Ethan and Emma grew up together. The room erupted as police officers suddenly entered. I stood calmly while He Jiyoung's face drained of color, his empire's incriminating documents flashing across presentation screens. I never agreed to get married. Did I? I took a sip of water, picked up the microphone, and said bluntly. The words exploded like a bomb in the press conference hall. Journalists immediately erupted. What? A last-minute change of heart. What's going on? This is huge news. Jacob froze, momentarily stunned. I stood up and used the remote to project Jacob's criminal evidence from recent years onto the screen. Tax evasion, violent crimes. Would our Johnson family ever associate with such organized crime syndicates? Jacob suddenly leaped up and poured his tea over my head. Ethan, have you lost your damn mind? I wiped the liquid from my face and smiled. Maybe I have. But I hope our nation's regulators will thoroughly investigate such criminal enterprises. Emma sat in the front row. Some media spotlight accidentally illuminated her tear-streaked face before she covered it and fled. The next day, exposés about the Davis family's criminal empire flooded every platform. Their rise through illegal means. Their current operations. Police swiftly moved in, arresting Jacob. News photos showed him handcuffed, eyes burning with resentment. When corrupt towers fall, everyone pushes. The Davis Group's collapse became inevitable. Emma came to confront me later but was stopped by security. Ethan, give me one reason. She screamed from afar. What did I ever do to you? I glanced at her, then at my own hands. Emma, we both belong in hell. She shook her head, uncomprehending. Later, former West Side residents displaced by Jacob's thugs stormed the Davis mansion. People looted valuables while Emma and her mother cowered. The chaos escalated until flames engulfed the estate. Servants fled, leaving the disgraced family. Emma's mother eventually dragged her unconscious daughter from the inferno. Though they survived, Emma suffered severe brain damage from smoke inhalation. She might recover, or she might remain ventilator-dependent forever. During this collapse, my father kept calling. Ethan, too big for your britches now? Do you realize how many joint ventures you've destroyed? Emma grew up with you. How could you be so ruthless? I answered the first few calls, then stopped. Now I often drive aimlessly on highways at night. Sometimes I see Ivy sitting shotgun, obediently buckled up. Ethan. She whispers my name. Didn't you love Emma? I didn't. Oh. She draws out the syllable, then suddenly glares. Then who? Me? I smile, about to answer. She shakes her head. No. If you loved me, you wouldn't have left me there. The basement fire surges in my memory again, choking on regret. I say, Ivy, I'm coming to find you. She tilts her head. I exited the highway and drove through the pitch-black night toward the desolate beach. The journey took me past silent fields and ancient villages. Ivy clutched the seatbelt, gasping softly. This is the sea where you drowned. I slammed the accelerator, plunging the car deeper into the water until we plummeted into the blue abyss. Unbuckling my seatbelt, I embraced the phantom of Ivy, crushing her tightly against my body. I came to see you, hoping you could forgive me.